What's Splashin'? Welcome to Season 8, Episode 2 of Siren Sundays with me, your host, Lashanti the Siren. Today's guest is Tyrhonda Glinton, the founder of Fem STEM, and I'm super excited to have her on the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad and excited to be here splashing with you.
Awesome. So we'll definitely jump right in. And before we talk about what Fem STEM Bahamas is, I really want to know more about you to help kind of build, like your journey in life, your career, and what made you want to get into Fem STEM. So let us know, who is Tyrhonda?
Well, that's a very interesting question. There are so many dynamics to me. I find myself all over the place when it comes to interest. But generally speaking, I am a woman in technology. I've always liked unconventional things from a child. When I was younger, I actually wanted to be a deep sea diver, really for treasure hunting purposes. I always wanted to just learn how to maneuver the ocean to find treasure. I always had an interest as well for the ocean. I don't know why, I just was drawn to it. Overall, I am a director at Atlantis, Bahamas, in the information system space. So I'm Human Resource Information and Compliance Director there. Also a former student of the University of the Bahamas. I have my degree in Computer Information Systems and technical person at nature. I'm a mother, a wife, and a founder of Fem STEM Bahamas.
I like it anyway. How exciting. And so just can you explain to us what STEM is before we jump into Fem STEM Bahamas?
I appreciate that question because we assume that people know. But STEM is an acronym for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. Essentially, it's a buzzword now, but essentially is the whole gamut of those careers or those areas of, I guess, education, and something that we should become more accustomed to because STEM is all around us. And so that is what the acronym stands for. It's discipline in those specific areas.
And so what got you interested in being in STEM?
So, as I stated earlier, I'm a woman in technology, which obviously is the T for STEM, right? When I was younger in high school, I was a part of this program called Technical Cadets Course Program. And essentially, it's like police cadet, nursing cadet, but for students who are interested in, at that time, they call it technical and vocational areas. And so when I found out about the program, I enrolled and I was exposed to this gamut of career opportunities like mechanical engineering, technical drawing, and then you got the basic math and English, but you had computer science. And I was so intrigued about the opportunities that exist and the careers that exist in these areas. And so I always had a fascination about what is it that we can do to expose other kids and other students. But at that time I was young. So I took advantage of the opportunity and I did computer science. And so that is what kind of, I guess, started the spark within me to really be interested in STEM. And then also I had an uncle who was only 5 years older than I was. And so obviously, he was a big influence on me. And so he was the first out of my immediate family to go off to college. And his area of, I guess, discipline was graphic design. And so even watching him use the computers and just all that gaming and everything like that, it really had a major impact on me as well. So I just became more and more fascinated. And like I said, that's where it started. And then it grew from there. And so that's how I got, the impetus of it, basically.
Right. And so, and of course, you are the founder of Fem STEM Bahamas. So can you tell us a little bit about what sparked that? Like, what made you say that I need to create this organization?
Right. So anybody who know me for a long period of time, I was always interested in youth development. I actually am the assistant director for a pageant organization. And one of the contestants at that particular time, her area of studies was engineering. And so she could not find a nonprofit organization for her to volunteer her time or to build a platform on. And then my sister as well, she was at the time a biochem major. And she was struggling to find, because, biochem is such a wide discipline. So she was having such a hard time on finding what opportunities that exist in that area that she can actually go ahead and build upon her biochem degree. And so
Mhm.
I saw that this was a common theme around just people or students or young people trying to find their way in this industry. And so I first proposed to the young lady, I was like, there's not an organization. How about you start that, your own and make that as your platform? And so she's like, Miss Clinton, I'm not certain if that's something I can do right now. And so I thought about it and I said, you know what? I'm going to take on the mantle. I'm going to create this organization. I'm a woman in technology. I'm working in the industry. I see that in our space, there are foreign, no disrespect, but we have foreign persons who are, having advantage of the opportunities because we don't have our Bahamian people or our residents who are equipped to take on the career. So let me start something where we can make our students and our young people aware of these opportunities and equip them as best as possible to go ahead and be the best versions of themselves in this industry. So that's how Fem STEM Bahamas really started.
And I think, and it's so funny. I think this happens regularly for me, but I got so emotional hearing you talk about that just now because it's true, right? And as I started to say in our behind the scenes prior to the show, I just feel like Bahamians, especially the youth, now more than ever, they just don't have that many options to explore. And we've unfortunately just kind of defaulted to letting, expats and foreigners come into the country and take these amazing jobs that could have been for a Bahamian if we equip them with the skills. One of my favorite quotes that I saw in a commercial was, talent is equally distributed across the world, but opportunity is not. And so, right. And so things like FemSTEM are such a beautiful program to expose these kids to these sciences and get them this hands-on experience. And I want you to jump in to what are some of the things that you do with these young girls in FemSTEM?
Right. So our organization was established in 2019. And so the first phase of it was just making people aware of the opportunities and the students who are doing well in these areas. So what we did originally is create an awards ceremony or awards platform for them just to highlight them and reward them for doing such a great job in these areas. So that's the first year we did that. Second year, we decided to launch our workshop, and it was centered around the environment. It was right after or in the midst of right after Hurricane Dorian and then going into COVID. And so for me, I definitely had to take a introspective look and to pivot to address what it is that for us was really important at the time, which is our environment. And so we launched our first workshop that is called Get Into the Green Scene. I have on the shirt. And so essentially what we did is make them aware of the different opportunities in that space. So we taught them about recycling their waste, how to repurpose, let's say, greenery. So they learned about how to repurpose greenery into biofuel, which is a cleaner fuel that we can use, an alternative. Yes, we also took them to the New Providence Ecology Park to make them aware of how our waste is, I guess, repurposed or can be repurposed, but why they should also start at home and making sure segregate their waste and understand that once it's out of your sight, don't mean that it's done. So we let them saw the whole cycle of how the environment is impacted. We also did the Maritime Academy, and we made them aware of the career opportunities that exist there as well. And so we started with that. And then we branched off into the summer camp, which again had to have limited space because we were at the height of COVID at that time, but we still had them participating. And we partnered with ICA, again with the Bahamas Maritime Academy, LJM, sorry, Maritime Academy. And we had people who are in the environmental professionals and SMEs in the environmental space to talk to them about the different facets of the environment. So for the most part, our whole program and our after school club would be launched later in the year was centered or is centered around the environment. And I'll talk more about what we did for that, I guess, after this particular segment.
And I do want to ask a quick question, and hopefully I'm not putting you on the spot, but have you ever, in the 3 years of operating FemSTEM, have you ever had someone ask, "What about boys? Why not include?"
Oh my God, yes, that's a frequently asked question. I feel disheartened by that question a lot of times because we want to be, the whole purpose of Fem STEM Bahamas was not to not be inclusive. We want to be inclusive. That is the whole purpose of our organization. However, research shows that there is a disproportion of females in these areas, and so we want to be able to build up and to make them aware that there are women in this space, and they should not be afraid to explore these opportunities because it is for you as well. What we also did is last year for our summer program, we in Grand Bahama, it was a green energy workshop, so we extended what we did in New Providence to Grand Bahama. We included males in that. So what we plan to do this year moving forward is for any extra activities like workshops, seminars, to include males in those programs, but the after school program would be centered around females because of the number of girls who are not aware and also not participating in these careers.
And I do think among all of that, there is this sort of I don't know if I want to call it like cultural stigma, or I don't know. I can't think of the word right now, but I think everyone's going to know what I'm talking about, where this is sometimes just not seen as things that girls do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so to the people who are saying, why not include boys? I say, go make men STEM. You guys make,
okay.
you know, and as a comment from one of our viewers, D'Angelo, as a technology professional, I can count the number of women I've worked with over my 20 plus year career. So it really isn't a lot of women, you know, in the field. And I know there was a question about the technical cadets. If you can answer, do you know if it is still operating?
No, unfortunately, it was discontinued. It was a program that was operated by the government of the Bahamas. I don't know if funding was a problem, but pre-COVID, like right before COVID, they stopped. And so as far as I'm aware, it's not continued since then. And I find that as a major gap. It was a great program for males and females, and it was in partnership with other organizations like BTC, Cable Bahamas, that provided summer camp and summer job opportunities as well. And so unfortunately, it's not continued.
Oh, yikes. Well, hopefully someone can hear this and be inspired to reinvigorate that program. And I know, and I'll just shout out this comment from Nandi where she's saying, you know, great job for partnering with local organizations. Most of the issues we face are interconnected, and I'm happy to see that you see the value in connecting with other groups to raise awareness and collaborate towards solutions. And that's very true. I think a lot of times we don't realize that it can be one small thing that then trickles to some of the other problems that we have in society. But back over to you. So again, over the years, how has FemSTEM grown and evolved and improved?
Yeah, so again, like I said, we started just doing the award ceremony, but now we were able to get funding, thankfully, to launch our after school program, which over the course of the last year, we had 50 plus students participate in. And our focus was, again, on waste management. And we were able to the students really were able to create a prototype where they automated the waste management process through using technology. And they were able to present it to the board of directors, who were very impressed. They also presented another alternative on recycling or repurposing the microplastics. And that was another solution. And we had a number of persons, like I said, from the New Providence Ecology Park, but also persons who are in the environmental space who were there. And they were so impressed. How have we grown? We were able to start from just me one to now having a team of facilitators. Thankfully, again, through the Jeff program, we were able to get funding. And Janessa, I believe I'm pronouncing her name right. Don't kill me. But she was pivotal in helping us prepare for that grant. So I am so happy for that, because now we're able to get facilitators. We are able to have instructors who are able to run the program when I'm not present, because like I said, I have a full-time job at the moment. We have also started to incorporate our curriculum, or really create our curriculum. So that is done. How we plan to grow now, we just recently invited 5 persons to join as our advisory board throughout the sector. So now we have advisors, and we're trying to really build up our board of directors at this time. We are also going through a rebranding campaign. So the logo which you have displayed is our new logo. And yeah, so we are really trying to get the word out about, Fem STEM Bahamas, what it is that we do and what we have done. And previously, I didn't mention this, but previously, when we first started, we actually had five of our students who were awarded participate in the International Day of Girls in Science panel discussion at the UN. And one of them were actually able to speak and present their idea for repurposing agriculture and repurposing agri waste. And she was the only girl from the Caribbean region
Oh,
that was able to speak and present her idea. So for me, that was
yeah.
powerful and monumental because the platform and our mission is to educate, empower, and equip. And so to put them on those platforms to be able to speak, to be able to share their ideas and let them know that, hey, we have world class solutions as well. For me, that was amazing. So, yeah.
World class solutions from world class people. Like that's phenomenal. I hadn't known that. So I'm so happy to hear that, the program has gone international basically. Like these girls have been exposed, or these young women rather, are being exposed to so much, and that's so important, I think, just to help facilitate this growth of big ideas. I think sometimes here in the Bahamas, we're such a small country, and a lot of times we just can think just very small, or just not expand our horizons with things. So I'm sure that impacted those girls' lives in a way that'll be with them for the rest of their life. So
Indeed.
amazing. I have to go find that and start sharing that on my page. But
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
yeah, awesome. Yes, 242. So what would you say over the 3 years is one of the most impactful things that's happened? Would you say that was it?
That was one of them. I think that the students actually being able to create a solution to an existing problem in the country and present it well. For me, that was a moment of pride and basically allowed me to see that this is what we were doing it for, are doing it for. So those two particular events were very impactful for me, for the girls. For myself personally, I think I've most recently been invited again by the United Nations to the Global Digital Impact Summit and in Mexico, and on behalf of Fem STEM Bahamas, and be able to contribute what it is that we think should be done as it relates to technology in our sector. For me, that was also impactful because I was the only Black female in that room, and not just in the Caribbean, but in the room. And for me, that was it. And this is for the Americas, that they are different regional. And I was honored, but I was also reminded why it is that we exist. We have to take up more space, not just for taking up space sake, but also to prepare us to be able to be in a room and make a contribution, a valuable contribution, and make our voices heard.
Mhm.
Overall, I think I did that, but I hope that from this platform, I'm able to allow other women in this region in our country to be able to do the same. So that was also impactful for me as well as a part of, Fem STEM Bahamas.
And so when you started this, did you see that in 3 years, did you ever like imagine that in 3 years this is what you would have accomplished so far?
Absolutely not. for, me, for me, I know for me, okay, long term, I knew the intention is for it to be global, but in the short span of it happening, no, I didn't. I do though still think there's still room for growth. Right now, we are trying to prepare some students to participate in the BIEA International STEM competition that is due. The submission is due at the end of June. So we are hoping to be able to have some students participate in that and then make it to the finals, because the Bahamas is one of the smart cities that they are actually building their case studies around
Oh
due
wow.
to Hurricane Dorian. So I hope that we have some representation there. So for that, I'm hoping that we continue to, I guess, grow and expand in that way. But everything else that transpired so far, no, I didn't expect it.
So I do have, just based on what you just said. You said BIEA.
EA,
What does that
yes.
stand for?
So it's the British International Education Association. It's a nonprofit based in the UK that is centered around STEM education as well.
Okay.
This year, their area of concentration is the environment, and they had 4 thematic areas for us to, well, anybody who's competing, for us to compete against. Um, the Bahamas, like I said, is one of the smart cities that they are also including as a part of the solution, or for us to find a solution for. And the group of girls that we had, they are focused on green transport, but we also are looking for more girls to join the program or join the project.
Right.
So if there's anybody who have, students between the ages of 14 to 18 who are interested in STEM and would like to have them participate and possibly be a finalist and go to the UK in August.
It's lovely in August, actually. I, if I do say so myself.
Please invite them to join the program and the project, that particular project, to
Yeah.
be able to compete. So yeah.
How can they reach out to you about that or get more information?
So they can reach out by visiting our website at www.femstembahamas.org, or visit our it's already there, or also visit our Instagram and Facebook pages. Once they reach out to us, they have the option to sign up right then and there, because on the website it has the BIEA competition.
Nice.
But also they can reach out to us to express their interest, and then we can start meeting, because we're meeting already, but we could start including them in the meetings to meet every Saturday.
And Nandy X is 32 old. And like, I want to go too. Like, gee, But
unfortunately, yeah.
But you also mentioned the Bahamas is considered a smart city. What does that mean?
So what that mean for the organization that is proposing the competition is that this is a case study city. This is a study that they use to highlight to solve this particular problem. So that's just how they label it. But essentially they have, I think it's Turkey, it's a country in the UK, it's a city in the UK, then Nassau, and about 5 other cities from different countries, where they propose these problems that exist, and then the students who are competing find a solution based on the 4 thematic areas, which is green transport, I think it's renewable energy, and there was two other areas, but I know our girls were focusing on green transport. So awesome. You choose based on the city that you choose from. You choose the solution to their problems.
Boy, and I know we definitely. I always complain about, one, it's just too many cars, and then exhaust, and well, I guess we'll wait to find out, what they come up with. But in regards to some of the other things that you said that the students have presented, is there any way that we can see that? Is that available publicly?
Yeah, so we have their presentations. It was recorded, and so I'm gonna get the footage and somehow try to release some of the footage, or we could send it to you. Yes, so you can get it.
Yeah, that's exciting, because I'm definitely very, very interested to see what they came up with, and hopefully it was received well enough to be implemented at some point in time. But just to piggyback off of Nandy's question about is 32 old, how can viewers, maybe the adults, and even, obviously we know how, if girls want to get involved, they can check out the website. How can adults get involved? Like, is there some sort of volunteering that's available? How can they help you out?
Yeah, so we do have an option for volunteerism. So if you visit our website, we have an option for you to select to be a volunteer. You can do that by become like a speaker. So we have different areas of interest for us. Like I said, the environment is one, but also project management, communication, because these skill sets are still also important. You can also join if you're interested being a board member. We also open a door for that possibility as well, or opportunity as well. We also invite bloggers as well, because we want to be an education hub for a lot of students. So if you're great at writing, or that's a passion of yours, we're also looking for somebody to do that for us. Share information about STEM related topics. I know a lot of students have a hard time making selection when it comes to college or university. They're trying to make up their mind, or what is it that I should do, or what opportunities exist. So if you are great with that in terms of, college readiness or college preparedness, we are also looking for persons who would share that information with our students, just the basic information on how to register, what is the admission process looking like, what scholarship opportunities exist. Anything along those lines, we are open to. We've actually had people too who volunteered, like I said before, like Keishelle Davis, who talks about the business aspect of it, because we want to empower our students and our girls to be able to be entrepreneurs in this space as well. So, what it is to create a business plan, how is it important, or how to go ahead and generate your first, income to be able to generate more money or income based on your career. All of these things are important for them to be empowered. We want to also introduce, moving forward, patenting, copywriting. It was a problem with this word, but copywriting and knowing how to protect your intellectual property.
Okay, patenting.
Patenting.
Patenting?
Yes. Yeah.
No, I feel like patents.
Patents. That's the word. But basically, how to protect your intellectual property, because some of these girls come up with really great ideas, but you need to know how to protect it, how to ensure that if you share it, it's not, stolen or anything like that. So we also want to introduce that as a part of our course this year. So yeah.
And just to clarify, so the speakers and volunteers, they can be males.
Of course.
Right. So guys, you are more than welcome to come and speak to these young women who are interested in all these different fields. We do have a question from the audience. Does medicine and architecture fall under STEM?
Of course. Yes, it does.
Right. No, they're valid questions. And one of the things I did mention earlier prior to the show is sometimes I really think when you're so involved in something, you can kind of forget that, like, people just don't know. Like, and I always think back to this moment, just to, if I can pivot really quickly, where this Bahamian woman told me that, it's really important to throw the conch shells back in the ocean so that the baby conch can get a new shell. And I was like, what are you talking about? but for me, some people genuinely just did not know that the conch grow their own shell, and so super important to clarify. So please ask any questions that you want to ask while we have Tyrhonda here on the show. We only have her for a few more minutes, I'd say about 10 more minutes that she'll give us. But I do have some other questions. And just to touch base, we talked about how adults can get involved. Is the registration process very similar for the young girls who want to get involved? They just go on the website.
Yes.
And do that.
So you would see on the website, on the homepage, you would see join us or sign up or about. It's 3 options you have. So you could go ahead and select the about us button or tab. And then once you select that, you can sign up. Or you would see join us as well as an option for you to sign up. So we try to make it easy as possible. You have that option. And then, like I said, there's another option again for persons who would like to volunteer. Once you register, the information automatically comes to us. And then we send you a follow-up email on the details of the program, what is expected, what is the timeline in terms of the dates that we meet, and the overall general idea of the program. We do usually have an introductory meeting with the parents because we find that buy-in from parents is very important. Especially because this year we had a really a hard lesson to learn, but for the 12th grade students, their focus obviously is now preparing for college and preparing for their BGC examination. So we lost a lot of our 12th grade students this year, but having that buy-in again from the parents is important because obviously they're the ones who bringing them to the program and picking them up. So of course, if the parents, focus is here, then we would have more support. And so we try to, as much as possible, incorporate parents and make them aware of what the program offers, what are the requirements. And we try to also be conscientious of the fact that students also have other, not interests, but other programs that they may be interested in as well. So, yeah.
And just to get a better idea of how the program runs, it just operates within the school year. There's no summer option?
Yeah, so we usually do have a summer camp. This year we did not because we're really focusing on, well, there's 2 things. I didn't want to release it just yet, but we signed an agreement with the Ministry of Agriculture to do a Agri-Tech hackathon. And so we're trying our best to conserve our energy and time to prepare for that, which is supposed to be in late August, early September. So that's why we did not have a summer camp this year. And we're also preparing for the fall semester as well. But between the year, we also have workshops and seminars on special days. So for example, International Day of the Girl Child, we would have a seminar along the lines of STEM. And for International Girls in Science, we usually have a seminar or workshop relative to that area. So yes, we do have programs or workshops and seminars in between our year.
I'm so I always love when I get exclusive, and I think that always happens because I ask so many questions, and it's like, okay, I'll let you know what we're doing, what we're really doing. So congratulations on that. I'm sure all of our viewers will be so excited to see when that goes live and public. So I don't see any of the questions, so I'll keep moving forward with what I want to know. And so you've been doing this for 3 years now, and you've been in technology and in this space for a while. Would you say that there is someone in the sector, whether it's local or international or both, that inspires you, and why?
Yes, there are many women, and men too, honestly, who've done extremely well, and I feel like may not have gotten their roses. There's one in particular, a young woman. Her name is Christy Powell, who I worked with.
Okay.
She was the founder of the Bahamas' first digital payment platform, with the government of the Bahamas currently use. So anything to do with cashless payments, she developed that. And for me, that was an inspiration because she's not only a millennial, but she also is a woman in technology who I've seen doing the work, who've worked with male counterparts and actually got something done that was so innovative and new to our region. And so, I'm reading the comments. Yeah, so for me, she inspires me or had inspired me. I also have former teachers who, for example, Zena Hutchinson, she's been in the industry a while in terms of STEM education. I look up to her because she's consistent in what she's done and continue to do. I never knew about system analysis and design. And when you go through college or university, you're just doing a course and you're just trying to get through the course. But then when you start working, you see the benefit of what it is that you learned. That was my experience with her class. I actually became an IT business analyst, and before I started this particular career, and I seen how what I learned then was taught to me and how I actually applied it in my career. And then, like I said, she's been doing STEM education and pushing for that. So definitely, we have people in the environmental space. First, as far as I'm aware, chairperson or founder of BNT. Remind me of her name again.
Yes, the executive director.
The executive director of BNT. Forgive me. Yes. Yeah, she's for me. That's powerful. Women in the space, just killing it. We have a number of people. Like I say, I'm just learning more and more. Kelly Armstrong. We have Alana. Oh my God! See a young woman who is taking this, not just the diving and all that stuff, but making it accessible to young women and making them know that it's cool to do. So yeah, and then we have a number of people in the science space. I've never learned about epidemiology and all of these other things so much as over the course of COVID. And we have those people like Dr. Dal Regis, all of those women who were front and center straight through. I was really impressed by them. So yeah, it's so many women. It's just not on the top of my head right now. It's just spinning, but it's so many women who are in the space and, like I say, not really getting their roses. Vishanti, of course, you platform. And I spoke to you about this. I've been following your YouTube page for the last year and really using this platform to share what it is that you do and also other people in the space do, making those connections, like you said, and really making people aware of not just, the typical environmental science components, but making us know that how these things tie together, how they relate to each other is, for me, is very important. So yeah, I'm blessed to be here now.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
I'm trying. If anyone in ZNS is listening, I'm trying to get a slot. But Nandi also said, she wishes STEM courses were mandatory in our schools, even if only to expose the children to basic computing, because the world is digital. And I agree. I know one of the things that I think science courses and STEM courses teach students, which is beneficial, even if you don't quote unquote use it in the future, is that critical thinking component that I think is so important for life, you know? So, yes, hopefully someone else is listening and will include that in their curriculum. And so, before I start wrapping up, I want to know, is there anything else that you wanted to share about FemSTEM? Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to touch on the same topic you just spoke about, which is curriculum development, or is one of your persons who commented.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I've worked at the Ministry of Education in the curriculum department, specifically in the career and technical education section specifically. And the challenge is two things. The first is you need people who are already in the space to help prepare those curriculums. And so for me, not only preparing those curriculums, but having the persons to be able, or the instructors to be able to teach, to know, is the challenge. And so, of course, with everything, money is the motive.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we have a lot of people who may, the work, be able to teach, but because of the income that educators make, they're not willing to do it. So those are the three dynamics that impact, for me, from my perspective, would impact this not being able to be done effectively in the school curriculum. Of one is to be able to have the skill set, for the person to have the skill set to prepare the curriculum. So yes, you may have that, but then also somebody to teach it. And thirdly, the funding to be able to pay them to sustain themselves in this space. So that is the biggest challenge that we have. And I am hopeful that this program and other programs that are existing will help to supplement that, until things change, until we have the funding and the level of interest to spend our funds in the space in which it needs to be spent.
Yeah, and I did think about that as you were saying it, and this is in no way, I 100%, I fully support. All teachers need pay raises. I think their job and their role in society is just so crucial that unfortunately they're undervalued and underpaid. So anyone listening, get these teachers more pay. But I do think, to your point, these types of programs like Fem STEM Bahamas and all these after school programs that get kids involved are so important, because it supplements what's lacking from the school system. And once the school system gets that, then it complements what is being done. And it helps kind of foster what that particular student's interest is, because sports is great. And I think we focus a lot on sports, which, and I don't know, athletes jumped on my throat, because we could also put more funding in sports, guys. We could also put more money there. But I do think that we sometimes we can be off balance with what our focuses are. And I think to create a whole country, to create whole people, and sports and education and science and STEM and all these things are so important. So yes, after school programs are so crucial in that role. And hopefully there becomes a day where, schools encourage students and almost make it, I want to say mandatory, right? That they sign up to at least one program, one after school program. Like they make them do community service hours. You can make them get involved in an after school program. So that's just wishful thinking. So I don't want to keep you too long. I do wonder if you have some final thoughts for viewers, and something almost like an inspirational thing, or a lesson learned throughout your career that you'd want to share and kind of leave with our guests to resonate on. And maybe there is someone out there who's interested in starting a nonprofit similar to what you're doing. What advice would you give viewers, or what thoughts would you leave with them?
Right. So my favorite quote is, "The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." So for me, everything in my life, and I feel like other people's lives, is you just getting started. So if you are a young woman or man who is interested or in STEM and you don't know where to begin, start small. I always tell people, Google University, YouTube Academy, start searching careers in whatever area of discipline that you may be interested in. If you're a person who is considering starting a nonprofit organization, the process involves you, first of all, writing down what your mission, your vision, and all of that is, who your target audience is. Once you have that innate in you and you're ready, you have that documented, look for the name of your organization and go through the registration process. For me, that was pivotal, especially when it comes to getting funding, because in order for you to sustain a nonprofit, you definitely need funds. And in order for you to have funds, they need to make sure that you went through the proper procedures in order to make yourself solidified as a nonprofit. And so once you do that and you go through that process of being registered, start looking for partners. There are many people or many organizations that probably share the same vision as you. And so having that support system to carry out whatever your vision or mission is important. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I am not an environmentalist, so I always lean, especially when we have projects related to that, lean on those who are specialists in the area and let them be the experts that they are. Don't be afraid to invite them in your space, because ultimately your goal is to impact or to empower your target group. And however that comes about, you should not be worried about, oh, I don't want to compete, I don't want them taking my idea or whatever, which is a major problem, especially in the nonprofit space as well.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to share ideas, but to also invite other people in your space, because ultimately it's about the people you're trying to impact. So that would be my advice. And for me, that's been working. And I will forever be grateful for persons who volunteered their time, even it was just giving me a word of advice or pointing me in the right direction. I'm always grateful, because people do not have to do that. So I found that it worked for my nonprofit, and I would encourage others to do the same.
I think you touched on such a major thing, and I won't keep you too long. That I think it's almost like a Bahamian thing, that we're so scared of collaborating and sharing ideas for this thought of someone's going to steal it, someone's going to take it and make it better. And I mean, in a lot of different ways, we've seen this copycat behavior, but I think it's so important, as you said, just to focus on it, share, because other people are probably similarly aligned. But one of the biggest things that I've learned in life is what's yours is yours, what's for you is for you. Whether someone tried to copycat or not, no one will ever do it exactly like you. And I think it's very beautiful that you encourage people to share and collaborate, because I think that's the only way we're going to move forward is together, And I think the saying is, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, bring others with you. And to slowly start closing out, I think Jules just said something so amazing in the comments. You both highlight such critical challenges we're facing when it comes to implementing more robust STEM curriculum. More funding is needing for sure. And at that point, more funding. So if anyone's out there and you want to support Fem STEM Bahamas, check out the website, get in touch, get involved, and just make a difference in these young girls' lives and help Tyrhonda continue this. We want to see you 3 years, 10-fold, or 20-fold, or math is not mathing, but in perpetuity, Fem STEM Bahamas will be around, and it'll grow and it'll keep getting better. And thank you so much for sharing with me and on this show and in front of our guests. And I'm so excited I finally got you on. As I've told you, I've had you on my list for a while, and I think everything comes in its time. So this is perfect, and I'm happy that you were available.
All right. And thank you again for having me. Continue to be great. I am looking forward for your growth and expansion as well. Your platform is amazing, and I truly appreciate all that you've done for our organization. So thank you too.
Awesome. And thank you guys for viewing and riding the wave with us. Hopefully I'll see you guys next week on the next episode of Siren Sundays. Until next time, I'll see you later.